delighted to be here this evening, and thank you very much for inviting me back again. This is a really very important election for all of us. It's an historic election. And this really is your night. It's a great opportunity for you to meet all your candidates, to talk to them, to ask them questions. And for anybody who hasn't made up their mind, it's a great opportunity, you know, to be clear about whatever you need to ask. Now, as far as I know, there are 10 candidates up here with me. We only have 2 hours, so I have to lay down some ground rules. So will you please help me make this a really good evening? And the way you can do that is, I'm first of all going to turn to the candidates up here, because I know that passions have been running high and a lot of people feel very angry about things. And who would blame them the way the country is? So what I would ask all the candidates on the panel is this: please, do not selfishly hog the microphone anybody. Let's be fair about it, let's pass it around. Make your point as concisely as possible, and now.
My name is Neville Bradley. I'm a forest service manager in St James's Hospital, and I basically believe, in a nutshell, that the party political system has failed the people of this country. A great example of that is the finance bill. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael brought it in, and Labour and Fine Gael voted for it. Now they're against it, but they voted for it. Most people in this room are hurting because of that finance bill. And one of the twists in the finance bill is that now the government can go after your employer and get taxes from your employer. And that's something that wasn't very well documented. So I feel the opposition failed us very greatly in the fact that when we had 3 empty seats in Dáil Éireann, we should have had 3 by-elections, and that the government was allowed to carry on with this marginal majority, and if the 3 by-elections were held, we know that the government would have failed.
I was elected for the constituency in 2002, and since then I've had a full-time office here in Ballyfermot. I've lived in Ballyfermot for 14 years, and I've moved to Bluebell only last year. I think in the years since I was elected that I have been a voice for the people. I've represented many groups locally here in trying to ensure that they weren't hit by cuts, or if they were looking for better services. And in particular, I have been a voice in the Dáil for working class people of the constituency as a whole, but in particular.
I'm a first-time candidate. I have been working for the past 15 years in a hospital as a hospital pharmacist. So I feel that I'm bringing new ideas to politics because I haven't been involved that much in politics. So I have real life experience, both working in the health services, and I know that a lot of people have problems with the health services, and it can be a very bad experience for patients, but I hope you also have found that it can be a good experience as well.
Thank you very much, Ursula. My name is Mulcahy. I'm Fianna Fáil TD for this area since 2002. And the first thing I'd like to do is to thank the Ballyfermot Partnership for organising this debate. I believe it's very, very important that everyone in Ballyfermot has the opportunity to hear the different candidates and their policies to help them make up their mind in what is a very important democratic process. As many of you know, I hold a local advice clinic in the Resource Centre every Monday, and I like to think I help as best I can the Ballyfermot community, who are one of the strongest communities actually in the city of Dublin. And I can see that because over the last few years, largely because of their advocacy, huge improvements in terms of facilities have been made to this area. I don't need to list them, but you know, one of them you're actually sitting in, and that is a tribute to this very, very strong community.
My name is Councillor Byrne, a member of the Labour Party. My local government constituency is Crumlin, Walkinstown, Drimna, Harold's Cross, Terranure, Kimmage, which I've represented for the last 30 years. I have a poll topper, top the poll at those in that area. I've served, as has been pointed out, as a TD, both in government and in opposition on 2 occasions. I'm slightly different to most politicians insofar as I'm not only a politician, I'm actually a community activist. My community involvement is quite extensive. I don't want to sound like the leader of the Fine Gael party who said, go look on my website. But if you happen to be around and want to know all about me, do look at my website, which is www.ericbourne.ie.
The government that's about to finish office have appointed somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 people into jobs all over the country. Highly important jobs. None of these people were examined as to their suitability, and none of them are responsible whether they're good, bad or indifferent. You couldn't run a business or a club or a community organisation like that, but that's the way we run Ireland, and it's a failure. And I hate to use that word, but it is a failure, because as far as I know, we're the only Western country in the world since independence to have 4 generations of young people pack up and leave because there's no jobs for them here. That's a failure. The people who make the decisions here are not responsible. And I'm recommending a different system called direct democracy, where the taxpayer and the citizen are king and all public officials are held fully accountable. If they're good at their job, they stay in their job. If they're not good enough, you replace them. That's the way it works in every club, business and organisation, and the people make the decisions. Important decisions go to the people in referenda. Works in Switzerland, and I think it can work here as well.
Tonight and the partnership for organising tonight. My name is Peter O Neill. I'm an independent candidate in this general election. By profession I'm a social worker, and I've been working for the last few years as a community worker. Like everybody else, I've been appalled by the abuse of our country and the people, and that's why I'm putting myself forward. My mission to get elected isn't about self-interest, it's about supporting families and building better communities and a better Ireland. I'm really concerned about what's coming down the line in the next government, and I think it's really important that we focus on quality of life issues for people. We have a great community here in Ballyfermot, but it's under threat and it's under-resourced. You just look around at all the community projects doing great work, the cutbacks, the staff shortages, it's absolutely appalling. And I'm putting myself forward. I believe I have a lot of insight into what's happening on the grounds because I'm working in this and I also experience it personally, and it's not good enough what's happening at the moment, and that's why I'm putting myself forward. Thank you.
As I said, my name is Joan Collins. I'm councillor in the Connolly area, and I got elected in 2004 with a huge anti-bin tax campaign that was very active in the area, and I was re-elected again 2 years ago onto the council. Along with my fellow colleague Brad Smith, who's a councillor here in this area. And we're standing in the general election as the real alternative, and to articulate the anxiety and despair, I have to say, that are on the doorsteps every night that we knock on the door. People are worried about their jobs, they're worried about what they're going to be earning next year. Can we pay our mortgages? Can we feed our kids? Can we get our kids to school? Can the kids get an education in the future? All these issues are coming up at the door, and what we are doing and campaigning for is an alternative to that, because we don't believe that what the policies and the ideas coming from the last government or the present established parties are going to solve the problem for people. We've had 14.5 billion worth of cuts over the last 3 years. 14.5, that's a huge amount of money, and at the same time the banks have got bailed out by 55 billion euro. Into a black hole, going nowhere, it's going to do nothing productive, it's not going to create one job, nothing. And we have to reverse that, and we're saying not 1 cent more to the banks.
It's worth saying at the outset that this is my second general election. I stood before in 1997 myself and Gay Mitchell back at that time. On this occasion, I'm coming to the election with 15 years experience on politics on Dublin City Council. I have 20 years experience working as a chartered accountant in industry. As it happens, I'm in between jobs, in other words, unemployed at home, so hopefully I'll have a new job next Monday. If not, I'll be pursuing job applications as I have done before. But it's worth saying I have a very clear insight into the policies that are required in terms of to protect jobs and to create new ones, as I believe Fine Gael have. Fine Gael believe in free enterprise. We do have policies that will create 105,000 jobs over 3 years in terms of investment. We have other policies in terms of social employment, and we have policies in terms of providing internships for younger people.
Oisín Ó, Farrell was born in Inch Core, moved to Legoland and now living in Lower Ballyfermot. I'm a family man who's been unemployed for the guts of 3 years. Anyone who's unemployed already knows what this means, and anyone who isn't or hasn't can possibly understand. The two issues that I'm primarily concerned with are both local and national: unemployment and democracy. Unemployment. If elected, I will be paid in excess of €120,000 plus whatever backhanders politicians and TDs get that I don't know about. Instead of taking this salary from myself, I will divide it by 4 taking the salary from myself, I will divide it by 4 and employ 3 other people from across the constituency who are unemployed in an open public competition. Thus create 4 jobs for the price of 1, with each person being paid €30,000 per annum. Bog off, buy one, get one free.